Hi, my name is Jade, as you already know, and welcome to Stories and Scribes, my expression for Christian fiction books and the things I've learned, going through and reading them. Thank you for being a part of my journey, and I am super uber grateful. So we are growing, we are growing, we are growing, we are growing. Thank you for all those who are subscribed. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and let's get right into it. So, you know that I'm on this mission to let you know that there are other Christian fiction authors. And amazingly, we've not done any popular Christian fiction author in the videos that we've done so far. And I'm super uber grateful for that. And I'm excited to bring another one to you. This is by Courtney Walsh. And the book we are reviewing today is A Sweethaven Summer by Courtney Walsh. And okay, I'm still on this. Let's try the e-copy, soft copy kind of books. And well, so far so good. It has been good. So this book, like you see, when you see the cover, you will not really expect that the book would, you have the feeling of, how book will it be? Will it be dry? Will it be? But this book had a fair amount of its own surprises. And it touched on things that are unexpected, in books that you've read. Yeah, I know there was a little bit of a sprinkle here of romance, sprinkle here of sadness, but something that it touched fundamentally was friendship and how it spanned over time. So before I go on, let's read the synopsis. So Campbell Carter has come to Sweethaven in search of answers about her mother's history. Just before losing a battle to cancer, Susan Carter sent letters to her childhood friends from her hometown of Sweethaven, Michigan. Susan's three friends, Lila, Jane, and Megan, haven't spoken in years. Yet each had a piece of scrapbook they made together as girls. Susan's letters have lured them back into the idyllic lakeside town where they meet Campbell and they begin to remember what was so special about their long Sweethaven summers. As the scrapbook reveals secrets from the past, old wounds are mended, lives are changed, friendships are restored, just as Susan intended. See, one of the main thrusts of this book was friendship. And for me as a person, friendship is a real big deal. So when I read it and I began to understand when friendship is broken and when friendship is restored, I really, really did appreciate the book. So Susan had these three girlfriends. So it was Lila, Jane, and Megan. And they always had summer in Sweethaven. So like Sweethaven was like a countryside, where you go to a quiet small town where everybody loves each other, everybody knew each other's business and all of that. And then they connected in various circumstances to become friends. So Susan was like the connector. You have a group of friends where there is somebody that connects you to everyone and everybody has a friendship with that particular person. So Susan was that kind of person. And Jane and Megan and Leela were also friends. So let me give you the prototypes of those friends. So Jane was like the insecure one, fat one, the one that had a crush on the guy forever and the guy never really noticed her. That kind of girl, Jane. Leela was my mom is sophisticated, I am sophisticated, I'm rich, so I'm proud, so like the world should bow at my feet kind of girl. Then Megan was I'm all right, I'm good, and I have this amazing voice. And Susan was the stand up for my friends kind of girl, bold, confident, and it was just so amazing. So when you enter the book, you enter it with a bit of, wow, what's happening here? Because Susan was writing the last, like an entry into the scrapbook. So they had this custom where they do scrapbooks and they put pictures of things that they remember for that summer. And each picture has a story behind it so that everybody would recollect, how that summer was. So she was now entering like the last piece of her own scrapbook. And then she had a picture and she had, something. And, the thing she said was that they never lie in the scrapbook. So she was putting down something that happened to her and that was painful. And the next thing we saw was her standing in front of the mirror and looking pregnant. So you know that Susan was pregnant. And she left that town. Now, they hadn't spoken for 20 years. For 20 good years. And before she died, because Susan died of cancer, she sent out letters. She wrote letters to all of her friends, and she was meaning to send it so that she can have a reunion. But she passed on shortly before the letters were sent. And her daughter Campbell, had this, when you don't know your father, it's always a quest that every girl or boy will really want to know who their father was. And her mom was about to tell her before she died. So it was like, I don't know anything about my mom's past. I only know where she was when I was born and going forward. And it was a bit of a mystery. So when her mom passed and she got into her mom's house to clear the thing, she now saw these letters and now mailed these letters. So these letters went to all of her friends. And it was sad because they were supposed to meet in summer at a particular carnival that the town always had. So Campbell now went there, and then she now had the opportunity to meet all her mother's friends. And the amazing thing was when they began to talk about her mom, she had no idea who her mom was prior to when she was born, and going forward from there. Her mom had told her that her grandparents were dead while her dad was alive. She didn't tell her about her friends. She didn't tell her anything that she could recognize from her past. So going to Sweethaven was like an eye opener into another perspective of who her mom was. Now, the truth is, they always say that 20 friends cannot work together in 20 years. But in these 20 years, these friends, even though they had not spoken in that long, when they came together and they found a common thread that would join them together, they began to relive old memories. I know when you begin to relive old memories, you begin to be nostalgic. You begin to find the connection back from where you are to who you are right now. Now, the truth is, 20 years had gone by, and each of these girls had become women in their own right. Some successful, but each of them had things they were dealing with. Leela, no matter how sophisticated she was, she didn't have a child, and she was married for that long. Jane had a tragedy in her life because her daughter died. Her son, drowned in a Sweethaven lake. Megan stopped talking to her mom because Megan had an issue with drugs, and Jane felt that because Megan her son was with Megan when he drowned, so they had that thing like it's your fault, it's my fault, do you understand? So everybody was just apart. So this brought them together. See, friendships are very good, and if you find friendships that are meaningful, that are deep, that add value, that are productive, is something you should hold on to. The gift that Susan couldn't give her daughter Campbell, those letters, and going back to Sweethaven, gave it back to her daughter. Because after her mom had gone, she was the only one in the world. Reconnecting back with her mom's friends was the family that she never had, that she got to find out. And in that, she found out about her grandfather and what her grandfather and her grandmother had done to her mom when she was pregnant. And you can imagine in those days, a Christian girl getting pregnant, it was like a scandal. It reminds me of when I was growing, because I grew up in the north, in Kaduna, precisely. And I can remember as far back as the early 90s, the late 80s, the early 90s, if a girl in Kaduna then got pregnant, it was a huge big deal. It was like a scandal. You will be excommunicated from the church and all of that. And that's what her mom felt, experienced. And I know that parenting has evolved. And that's the beautiful thing about where we are today. With education, with love, with acceptance. I know that it will hurt when, a daughter comes to her mom and is not married and says, "Mom, I'm pregnant." But the truth is, what you do when you hear that kind of news or that kind of incident or situation, your reaction to it is what carries through, what matters the most. You must love. Because if a girl as unmarried comes to say that she's pregnant, don't trust me. She has already dealt with the fact that she feels she has disappointed people. She has dealt with the fact that she feels she's a failure. She has dealt with the fact that the reality of the fact that, number one, she's unmarried. How will she care for this child? How will she care for herself? Her life has been truncated. She doesn't know how she's going to move forward. What she needs from us is not judgment at first. Yes, you might be taken aback. Yes, you might be surprised. Yes, you might be disappointed. But you must embrace in love. And from there, begin to walk through the steps of reconciling the person back to themselves and knowing what to do going ahead. And you know that Campbell, in all of this mixture, finding her mom's friends, she now found a guy, look, that was totally cool and amazing. And you gotta read the book, you gotta read the book, you gotta read the book. And you know, they fell in love. But you know that she always had that insecurity about her not being better than anyone. She doesn't deserve anything good. You know, it was just her and her mom. She had nothing. It was like she didn't have a father. So she didn't know if she was wanted, if she was accepted. And how could she unconditionally accept love from someone who doesn't know her, you know, and all of that. The truth is, everybody deserves love. Everybody deserves love. Yes, it may not be romantic. It may not just be romantic love. Everybody deserves to be loved, to be taken care of, to be held up, to be cared for. You deserve it, no matter what you've done, no matter who you are, no matter where you're coming from. Everybody deserves it, and everybody will get it. And I just pray that for everyone who really craves to be loved, the right type of love will find you. Because there's some people that sniff out people that are desperate for love and take advantage of that situation. Now, in finding her father, that was a whole different twist that nobody saw coming. And do you know that Susan got pregnant for a guy that she fell in love with many years ago, who was now the husband to one of her friends, Leela, that was looking for a child. Can you see the irony of life? And you know, then the guy did not really, he knew that, yes, she had a child for him. But you know, he didn't really take it seriously because it was not like a fling. The girl was in love with him. They talked frequently. And you know how they say attention breeds affection. And you know, one thing led to the other. And you know, they slept together and she got pregnant. And when her parents found out, she had to leave the town. She had to leave because of the shame and the disgrace. And when it came out, it was so... it shook that marriage, because see, here am I looking for a child after almost 20 years, after about 20 years of marriage, and you had fathered a child almost over 20 years ago that I had no idea of. So it shook the foundation of that marriage, because you know that kind, she was already feeling empty. Leela was already feeling empty in her marriage. She didn't have a child, she was successful, she was blah, she was blah, she was blah. So it was like her and her husband were just practically roommates and living together. You know, so when that came, it shook their marriage. And it almost ended in divorce. But with intervention from her friends, with consideration, you know, that kind of deep thought and deep thinking, you know, she had to come out of it. And do you know what was amazing? Her mom, and I told you she comes from a sophisticated family. And her mom, you know, was always at her about, you know, how to be perfect, your dressing, your physique, and all of that. Not knowing that down the line, her mom had a story. Do you know that all of Leela's life, she never knew that her mom was actually the other woman. She never knew that her mom was the secretary to her dad before her dad left his initial family for her. So she was always at Leela's neck because she had her own guilt to deal with. The truth is, do not let other people's projection of their own life fall upon you and dictate who you are, your life as well. You are a person, you are an individual. You have your own narrative, you have your own story, you have your own life to live. Anyone, be it your parents, your friends, your siblings, your mentor, any influence over your life that will tend to project themselves on you, please do not accept it. Do not accept it. You are who you are. Love who you are. Improve on who you are. Do not allow somebody project themselves, their guilt, their past, their pain, their shame on you to make you who they think you should be because of who they are not. You know, that kind of thing. It is so humiliating and it is so not fair. So when she found out that, she now had to forgive her mom and forgive her dad because she found her dad was also cheating on her mom. Sometimes the circle actually goes round. What you reap is what you sow. You know, so for me, this book was totally amazing. Watch it, read it if you can get it on Try Latana, Sefer Books, an online Christian fiction bookstore, and just read it. And trust me, you will be totally amazed. And funny enough, you know that this book, I read it at a book club, Divas Read, which is a Christian fiction girls book club. And this is one of the books we read, and it was totally amazing. So watch the video, enjoy it, look for it, and yeah, have fun. Bye.